The impact of religion and Sufism on arts in Sudan. Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal, 1944-2008. The audience are delighted to welcome you once again to a new episode of our documentary series where we delve into the world of Sudanese visual arts, exploring the influence of religious and Sufi dimensions in shaping its aesthetic and intellectual features within this rich continuum of creative memory. We continue our journey among the pioneers of this authentic and deeply rooted art form, those who have contributed to defining its identity and expanding its visions. In our episode today, we have the honor of meeting one of the figures of the second generation of Sudanese visual art pioneers, an artist who masterfully combines painting, sculpture, and thought. In our presence, the late artist Ahmed Abd Al-Aal. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal is the founder of the School of the One, a unique artistic vision that seeks to transcend dualities and express a deeper unity of existence through art. Today, we meet the distinguished artist Ahmed Abd Al-Aal to explore his experience, engage with his vision, and uncover the features of his artistic and intellectual project. For this, the audience, I'm so very delighted to welcome you to have a new prominent Sudanese artist as a continuation for the series of documentaries that have been dedicated to trace the impact of religion and Sufism on Sudanese visual art. So stay with us on this enriching journey through art, thought, and beauty. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal is the founder of the School of the One in visual art, an approach grounded in a holistic vision that frames artistic practice within a unifying monotheistic perspective. In this school, art, through its colors, forms, and aesthetics, ultimately orients itself toward the majesty of the divine One. It carries a message that moves beyond the classical notion of art for art's sake. For Abd Al-Aal, both art and the artist are devoted to God and to serving the message of Islam, embodying both annihilation in the truth, fana, and living through the truth. بقاء. In his statement, Vision and Experience, Abdul-Aal reflects, in my artistic work, I find everything one might expect from art, yet I do not find in it what people have conventionally called pleasure. In its deepest sense, pleasure for me is only a near threshold, a beginning that quickly expands into a widening field filled with perception, questioning, and compassion, as well as a fundamental degree of personal realization. As you listen, the audience, in our presence today, an outstanding, prominent Sudanese visual artist in our presence as I have started the episode, Ahmed Abd Al-Aal. So just here I would like to share a part of his birth and upbringing, his education, his artistic career, following with his contributions, his expositions, and finally his legacy. And I would like to focus more specifically in his school, that is the school of the One, Madrasat al-Wahid. So let me start with his biography. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal was born in eastern Sudanese city of Kassala in 1944 and passed away at the age of 68 in 2008. The city of Kassala had greatly influenced his formative years when, as a young boy, he found himself surrounded with every beauty nature could give. The expansive, affluent orchards, the river gush, the morning and evening clouds, and the series of white mountains embarrassing the place. In this, nature was Abdul-Aal's first teacher when he came to recognize lines, colors, diversity, forms, harmony, and uniformity of images. Artist Abdul-Aal hailed from a big family, a big and established family in Kassala that knows about the art of architecture, embroidery, and furniture, and loves and lives with art. He was bound with a very special relationship with his grandmother, who equally admired her little grandson gift for art. She used to pick for him blocks of clay from the Gash river bank to play with and shape them into camels, cows, donkeys, and human images. After he finished these images, the grandmother would bend to fortify them into her home oven. Those early experiments had paved the way for his emerging talent that later on enriched the Sudanese culture with wonderful works of creation. About those early experiments, Abdul-Aal says, "From those experiments, I learned that there is something we can possibly try. We get amazed by the effect of fire on the cohesion of clay that changes it into something wonderful. The production of those images increased by the elapse of months. Those images occupied the different corners of the house, the yards, below the shade trees, and under the beds. And ever since I developed a sense for art.
محمد رسول الله.
Education. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal is a prominent painter and graphic designer who graduated from the Department of Graphic Design at the College of Fine and Applied Arts in Khartoum in 1971. He pursued postgraduate studies in France, obtaining a master's degree from going on to earn a PhD in aesthetics and the philosophical foundations of Islamic civilization from Bordeaux University. Abdal'al has held several senior administrative positions in Sudan, including Dean of the Institute of Music and Drama and the College of Fine and Applied Arts, following in footsteps of the founders of the Khartoum School, under whom he had studied. He and other artists published a manifesto for the School of the One in 1991, calling for a modern artistic vision rooted in Islamic thought. So back into his PhD thesis title here, I would like to point out that he has carried out, investigated the thought of Ibn Arabi, the Grand Sheikh, and he had received his PhD thesis, as we have stated shortly, from the University of Porto, France, that is during the years 1983-1987, and the title of the thesis, Principles and Resources of Islamic Aesthetics, a study on the thought of Sheikh Ibn Arabi. Moreover, back in further to his education, I would like to tell that he has moreover received MA in Islamic Civilization, title Thesis on the Arabic Letters, Spiritual and Aesthetic Background. It is from the very same university, that is the University of Porto, France, during the years 1981 to 1983. In addition, he received diploma in modern language from Vigi Modern Language Institute, France, 1981. Moreover, he has diploma in graphic design, College of Fine and Applied Arts, Khartoum, Sudan, 1967 to 1971. And he had sat for higher secondary certificate, Khartoum Egyptian School, in the years 1983, 1963 to 1967.
ركائبه فالحب ديني فالحب ديني فالحب ديني فالحب ديني وإيماني.
Work experience. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal has assumed many posts throughout his professional career, and here just I would like to share part of this experience or work experience. He was head of the graphic and design department, Ministry of Youth, during 1974 up to 1980. Professor of Aesthetics, College of Fine and Applied Arts, Sudan University for Science and Technology, from 1988 to 1990. Secretary General of the National Corporation for Culture and Arts, from 1991 to 1993. Dean of the Faculty of Music and Drama, Sudan University for Science and Technology. Assigned by the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. Professor of Aesthetics, Faculty of Music and Drama, Sudan University for Science and Technology. Dean of College of Fine and Applied Arts. Meanwhile, he has further many participation on cultural charges and responsibilities. For example, in 1973, Ahmed Abd Al-Aal was Sudan's representative at the first Festival of Arab Artists, Damascus. 1977 to 1983, he was head of Arts Committee, Sudan Cultural Festivals, from 1986, designing and executing exhibition of Sudan Days and Events, Sudan National Museum. 1990, head of the Steering Committee, Seminar of Literature and Arts, Global Institute for Islamic Thought, Khartoum. 1991, head of the Art Committee, National Comprehensive Strategy Conference, Sudan. 1992, working out and directing Sudan Night, a musical and dramatic show, Khartoum. 1992 to 1993, editor-in-chief of Khartoum magazine. So this is just example of the responsibilities and the charges that as well as the task that he had carried out through his professional career. The audience, I would like to reminding you that I'm presenting Ahmed Abd Al-Aal as part of our series of documentaries to present Sudanese artists, Sudanese visual artists, and their impact and influence with religion and Sufism in their artistic production. So in this part of the episode, I would like to share these points in which we try to reflect on Ahmed Abd Al-Aal's Sufism. Ahmed Abd Al-Aal said the fiber of the relationship between the Islamic arts and Sufism, and he thought of Sufism for it as being the ascetic expression of the Islamic religion. Thus, the experience moved according to that, till it becomes clear in his description entitled The Aesthetical Fundamentals in Islam, study on the thought of Sheikh Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi. The artist says, on the tongue of Ibn Arabi, each image in the universe is a mirror that carries a relatively considerable amount of absolute aestheticism. This absolute aestheticism and image variation, no way for its comprehension nor tasting only via spiritual effort. In the normal daily experience, we experience with the encounter of the aestheticism, but there is an amount of spiritual struggle for the promotion of the human ability for picking up whatever aesthetic on the side level and cognition level. And here, the aesthetical way extends so accurately, for it is possible to match between the universe images from the side of meaning and form. It comes to be clear to me that the Islamic mysticism alone is making the aestheticism in Islam. I mean by this the tasawwuf of the grand founders, imams, of those who achieved actualization with their saying and thoughts, and this as basis for the unity sentiments, thought, saying, and deed. And this only came as the Sufis establishes aestheticism on the living structure in the human. Verily, Sufism is the art of religiosity, with the consideration that the art is over transcendence of the familiar of seeing the life, for reaching the realities of the existence that lead to the perfect closeness of the Maker. May his glory be glorified. Professor Ahmed Abd Al-Aal sees that the Sufi artistic is the intention of the Sufi of transcending the familiar from the life's vision and the realities of existence, which makes the experience of each Sufi rich and unique from the others. To sum up, Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal paintings focus on the oneness, tawheed, unity, wahda, and singularity, al-wahidiyya in arts. Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal's spiritual journey reached its culmination in 2002 when he was invested with the insignia of leadership of the Qadiriya Sufi order in the Fao Mountains, southeast of Khartoum. This marked a decisive moment in a long path of spiritual discipline and Sufi ascent. His journey had earlier taken an academic form when he devoted his doctoral dissertation in aesthetics, principles and foundation of aesthetics in Islamic civilization, a study in the thought of Ibn Arabi at the University of Bordeaux in France. During his doctoral years, 1983-1988, Abdul-Aal lived deeply immersed in the Sufi thought of Ibn Arabi, drawing from it both intellectually and spiritually. Abdul-Aal maintains that his artistic practice is a profound sense. In a profound sense, it embodies the spirit of worship. It leaves no room for vanity or arrogance, as he explains. There is an intellectual dictate that governs the formal performance in my artistic experience, which prevents me from seeing it as mere decoration or ornamental embellishment of space or time. My convention has consistently moved toward a renewed engagement with the essence of the historical experience of Arab Islamic civilization, considering it the last civilization established upon the final revelation and upon the manifestation of divine revelation in the noble prophet life, followed by centuries of spiritual, intellectual, scientific, and literary constructions.
لنا أسوة
The School of the One. Throughout his artistic journey, Professor Ahmed Abd Al-Aal has provided the visual arts in Sudan and the Islamic world. Moreover, in Africa, with a unique school that came to be known as the School of the One, Madrasat al-Wahid. So the School of the One considers one of the most influential groups of artists in contemporary Sudan. Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal, Umar Kharif and Hassan Ali Ahmed have created this one school. Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal successful blends influences from several disparate cultures in a highly original Sufi vision. This Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal goes down into the history of the Sudanese plastic painting as the artist to have called for looking beyond the physical world to see how things may look then in what he calls the School of the One, Madrasat al-Wahid. Al-Wahid here is the name given in the Islamic inscriptions to Allah, the one God. This Abd-Al-Aal had wanted to say that the universe we see around us has no real existence, and that the real existence is that of Allah. The term Allah in the language of Islam and the language of Middle Eastern Christians refers to the maker and dominator of the universe. Abdul-Aal is visibly influenced in his ideas by the perception of the unity of existence, forwarded by the outstanding Sufi scholar Muhyiddin ibn Arabi and his early Sufi predecessors. The universe is one because the power behind it is one, and that is Allah. Abdul-Aal wants us to understand and also to believe that it is the existence of Allah that gives everything else its existence. That is, we should not be distracted by the existence of the material world around us from seeing the real existence behind it, that of Allah. Accordingly, Abdul-Aal built his artistic experiment on the idea of the one God, summed up in the basic statement of the Islamic faith: there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. The basic statement of the Islamic faith: there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Based on this convention, the audience still I'm sharing Ahmed Abd-Al-Aal thought and ideas on his School of the One. So to continue, based on this convention, Abdul-Aal built all his artistic experiment and looked into the Islamic and Arab civilizations with all their aesthetics to see what they could give in terms of art and thought. This is a universal monotheistic culture, he said. Accordingly, he called for establishing new aesthetics that benefit from the aesthetic and intellectual potential of the Muslim civilization and its historical experiment that extended across different natural environment and natural and national temperaments which lead to a cohesive aesthetic conscience. Abdul-Aal is one of those who make the future through his artistic works in three dimensions, that is the past, the present, and the future, the absent which will come. It is the world of the A picture which abridges the history of art but received all its signs and the best of its good tidings. For Abdal'Al, the artistic work is not the product of a casual notion, but it is born out of notion that you could touch, that you could catch. It can be brought back from the depository of a wide memory and imagination, which he revealed a vision in Islamic Sufism that leave him walk along paths uneasy to be trodden by a lazy traveler, to reflect the feeling of his position as a comprehensive intellectual and artist who has his own definite intellectual project. In Sudan, these efforts centered around the teachings of the College of Fine Arts, the capital city. What emerged was the visually rich aesthetic referred to as Khartoum School, Madrasat al-Khartoum, the style of abstract painting that combined Arabic calligraphic motifs with a subdued plate inspired by the earthy tones of the Sudanese landscape, building on the gains of previous school prints. The School of the One emerged as a movement expressing Afro-Arabism while emphasizing Islamic identity, driving its inspiration and aesthetic objectives from divine monotheism. It emerged in 1988 under the leadership of the artist Ahmed Abd Al-Aal, and its manifesto was signed by Ahmed Al-Awam, Muhammad Hassan Al-Faki, Muhammad Abdullah Utaybi, and Ahmed Hamid Al-Arabi.
لقد صار قلبي قابلا كل صورة فمرعى لغزلان.
Expositions. In this part of the episode, the audience, I would like to share parts of the exhibition that Ahmed Abd Al-Aal works have been displayed and presented. 1963 UNESCO National Committee Exposition Khartoum. 1965 Autumn Exposition Sudan's Singers Union Khartoum. 1966 Autumn Exposition Sudan Singers Union Khartoum. 1972 Exposition of the Sudanese Egyptian Brotherhood Weekly Alexandria, Egypt. 1977 to 1983 Exposition of the Sudanese Culture Festivals Khartoum. 1979 Exposition of the Islamic Aesthetic Aspects on the occasion of the 15th century of the Hijra, Khartoum. 1986 Exposition of Oxfam for Sudan Aid, London. 1992 Exposition of Aesthetic Aspects of Arabic Calligraphy, National Corporation for Cultural Art, Khartoum. 1996 Exposition on the occasion of the inauguration of Shibrin Arts Center, Khartoum. 1998 Sharjah International Biennial Sharjah, UAE, United Arab Emirates. 2002 Exposition of the Union of the Sudanese Artists. 2002 the 10th Exposition of Holy Quran, Tehran. 2002 the second Biennial of Islamic Art, Tehran. 2006 the Sudanese Plastic Art, Riyadh, Kingdom Saudi Arabia. Awards. In 1975 he was awarded the Order of Merit granted by the President of the Republic of Sudan. 1999 gold medal for the great figures in the art plastic arts in the 20th century, presented on the occasion of declaring Beirut the cultural capital of the Arab world. 2002, a ceremony of his Mashiach in Gadiri Oda. 2002, honored by the merit of the servant of the Holy Quran by the President of the Islamic Iranian Republic, Muhammad Khatami.
أدين بدين الحب أن
Eternal legacy. The legacy of calligrapher, painter and sculptor Ahmed Abd Al-Aal, founder of the School of the One, stands as a distinctive and profound contribution to modern Sudanese and Arab visual art, where aesthetics, spirituality and Sufi thought converge within a unified vision. As heart of his legacy is the establishment of a unique artistic philosophy that redefines the purpose of art. Through the School of the One, Abdul-Al positioned artistic practice within a deeply rooted monotheistic framework, where visual expression becomes a means of contemplating divine unity rather than merely producing aesthetic pleasure. His work challenges the dominant modernist notion of art for the art's sake, offering instead an understanding of art as a form of worship, reflection, and spiritual inquiry. His legacy is also marked by an exceptional synthesis of disciplines. As a calligrapher, he drew on the sacred geometry and rhythmic harmony of Arabic script. As a painter, he expanded expressive abstraction infused with symbolic and metaphysical depth. And as a sculptor, he translated these same principles into form and space. Across all these mediums, his work consistently reflects an engagement with the intellectual and spiritual heritage of Islamic civilization, particularly the thought of Ibn Arabi, whose influence is evident in Abdul-Aal's emphasis on unity, multiplicity, and the unseen dimensions of existence. Moreover, Abdul-Aal contribution extends beyond artistic production into the realm of theory of pedagogy. His 1989 Manifesto of the School of the One represents a rare attempt to formulate an indigenous aesthetic framework rooted in Islamic thought while remaining open to contemporary artistic discourse. In doing so, he offered a model for artists seeking to reconcile tradition with modernity without falling into imitation or fragmentation. Ultimately, the legacy of Ahmed Abd Al-Aal lies in his insistence that art can be both intellectually rigorous and spiritually transformative, a space where form, meaning, and belief are not separate, but deeply intertwined. His work endures as an invitation to reconsider the role of the artist, not merely as the creator of images, but as the seeker of truth and witness to the unity underlying all existence.
بدءا بالكتاب الكريم القرآن أن فن المسلمين لا يمكن تفسيره إلا بثقافة المسلمين، وكان فنا عظيما أن عبرت الحضارة الإسلامية تعبيرا عن منطقها الظاهري والباطني بواسطة الفن، وقد يجهل كثير من المسلمين هذا الأمر. حضارة الإسلام واحد من أعمدتها الفن والتعبير الجمالي. الفنان المسلم
As the audience, we travel across time. Introduce in this episode one of Sudan's unique, outstanding, and prominent artist, Ahmed Abd Al-Aal. We visited his artistic production. We shared part of it. And for this, an opportunity is there for providing him and his likes with a thorough investigation, with thorough presentations. That is because their artistic works are unique one, original. So before to wrap up the audience, I would like to share parts of the sources that I have consulted. Artwork by Ahmed Abd Al-Aal, published in sudanmemory.org. Plastic painter Abd Al-Aal, art from a metaphysical perspective, published in Sudan Now magazine on 29 of December 2019. Yahya Hassan, article, Plastic painter Abd Al-Aal, art from a metaphysical perspective, published in Sudan Now 29 of December 2019. عبد الرحمن ود الكبيدة، أثر التصوف في تكوين الشخصية السودانية، published by مدارات خرطوم 2013. Rashid Diab, contemporary African art from Sudan. And then we have the thoughts article written by Jessica Lack, Why Are We Artists? 100-word art manifesto, modern classic without date. Facebook, and here I have found an article, Spotlight from our current exposition, Ahmed Abd Al-Aal, a united work. And then we have here Suraya Saleh, our study or her article, Artistic Schools in Sudan, published at sudanartarchive.com. And finally, The Impact of Sufism on Arts in Sudan, published book by Abdallah Abdullah Saleh, 2024, by Musawarat for publication and distribution. By this, the audience, I came to the end of the episode. Till seeing you in another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
فتشكل في السودان هذا الكم الهائل من المعارف ومن الرؤى ومن التباليد، ثم دخل مع الإسلام تصوف الإسلام. هذا التصوف فيما أعتقد هو الذي له الأثر الكبير في تشكيل ملامح الشخصية السودانية الحاضرة، ملامحها الاجتماعية والثقافية، التعامل والسلوك وما إليه. دخل التصوف الإسلامي ومهد لهذه الأرضية، ولذلك نجد حتى في التعامل الديني في السودان نجد فيه قدرا كبيرا من التسامح وقبول الآخر وبذل اللين والرحمة للآخر، حتى وإن لم يكن على ذات العقيدة الإسلامية. ولكن الحقيقة طبعا أن هذا البلد الذي وصفناه بالمستودع الحضاري العظيم أو الكبير ساهم في الحضارة البشرية نفسها، في صنعها وفي تقدمها وفي تطورها. وخذي مثلا ما يعرف بالأهرامات الموجودة في شمال السودان في البجراوية. هذه الأهرامات كان الناس يظنونها لفترة طويلة أنها مجرد تقليد لأهرامات الجيزة في مصر الشقيقة، تقليد متواضع لأنها كانت ذات حجم أصغر مما هي عليه في مصر. فكان ومؤرخين وكتاب وآثاريين يكتبون أن هذه مجرد تقليد لتلك التي في الجيزة، وذلك بفعل التداخل الثقافي بين مصر الفرعونية وحضارة شمال السودان. وتقبل الناس هذا الأمر لسنين طويلة، ولكن في العشر سنوات الأخيرة تجدد النظر إلى هذه الآثار. هنالك الآن نظرية من الآثاريين الفرنسيين، ونظرية أخرى من الآثاريين الألمان، ونظرية سبقت هؤلاء الآثاريين كتبها العالم السنغالي الكبير الشيخ أنت ضيوف، قدمها قبل 40 عام، ولكنها جاءت من رجل من السنغال فصمتوا عليها ورؤها، ولكن دلوقتي تجددت عندما وصل الآثاريون الألمان والفرنسيون إلى هذا الأمر، أن الأهرامات التي في شمال السودان لم تكن تقليدا لتلك التي في مصر الفرعونية، إنما كانت هي الأصل. هذا الأصل الذي تطور انحداره مع النيل شمالا إلى مصر، فاستكملت الحضارة دورتها في مصر وعادت. وبهذا المعنى أيضا أن الحضارة نفسها نشأت في وادي النيل الأوسط،
يعني السودان
نشأت في السودان. الحضارة نفسها صحيح استكملت دورتها مع انحدار النيل شمالا، لكن نشأت أصلا في السودان. أركان هذه المدرسة وبصورة موجزة، أولا تقديرنا واعترافنا بلقاء عبقري، بلقاء عبقري تم بين الثقافة العربية الإسلامية والموروث الأفريقي المحلي في السودان. مدرسة الواحد تدعو مبتدأ إلى ظهور الفنان التوحيدي نفسه، لأنه لا يمكن أن نتكلم عن فن توحيدي بدون وجود فنان توحيدي. فنان توحيدي بمعنى أن نتخلص من قصة الانشطار. الفنان منشطر فيما ورثناه من فنون وممارسات وأفكار، الفنان منشطر وكأنما محبوس لرغبات ونوايا وأهواء ونوازع. نريد مرة أخرى أن يجمع الفنان نفسه،